From forgotten scrolls to future hope, this is Messages of Old. Picture a single dream that can zoom from the gold-lit streets of ancient Babylon to the data dashboards of 21st century power brokers. That is our journey tonight. Chapter 1 places you inside King Nebuchadnezzar's bedroom as a towering statue of gold, silver, bronze, iron, and brittle clay flashes through his mind. We match each metal to the empires that actually ruled the Mediterranean world and watch a stone not cut by human hands smash everything we thought was unbreakable. Chapter 2 drags us to a midnight shoreline where 4 mutant creatures, lion, bear, winged leopard, and iron-toothed terror, crawl out of a churning sea. Their rise and fall reveal the psychology of pride, conquest, and collapse, then point to a human-shaped figure who rewrites the scorecard. Chapter 3 sets a prophetic clock ticking. 70 sets of 7 count down from Persia's royal decrees through Roman roads to our own fragile alliances of iron and clay. Historians, mathematicians, and futurists debate whether the last seconds have already begun. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and decide for yourself whether Daniel's ancient code is still running the operating system of world power. Chapter 1, the Colossus and the King's Nightmare. A sleepless capital. Picture Babylon after midnight. Torchlight dances across the glazed bricks of the Ishtar Gate, and the lions and dragons seem alive. Inside the palace, he, trapped by walls 50 feet thick, refuses to leave. Yet King Nebuchadnezzar drenches his linen robes with sweat. A nightmare has jolted him upright. He tastes desert sand in his mouth, though he has not left his bed. Outside his door, a platoon of spearmen stiffens. If the king lies awake, no one else will rest easy. A few miles away, Daniel, a Hebrew exile living in a cramped dorm for foreign scholars, also lies awake. He has mastered Akkadian verbs and court etiquette, yet still hums lullabies from Jerusalem. Something inside him twitches. The palace is restless. The empire's pulse is offbeat. The impossible demand. Before dawn, Nebuchadnezzar summons astrologers, dream priests, and senior bureaucrats. In the ancient Near East, dreams are not stray neurons, but encrypted dispatches from the gods. The king opens his council with a brutal twist. If you claim to read dreams, prove it. Tell me what I saw, then explain it. If you cannot, prepare to die. Silence. One priest faints. Another offers the usual bargain. Tell us the dream. We will tell you the meaning. The king scowls. He knows the hustle. Guards grab the entire guild and send soldiers to round up the junior class, including foreign interns who had no part in the meeting. When the captain of the guard reaches Daniel's quarters with an execution order, Daniel does something no elder dared. He asks for the backstory and requests a single day's delay, promising a solution. The captain, perhaps impressed by calm courage, agrees. Prayer in a high-risk workplace. Daniel rushes to his 3 friends. They lock the door, shove tablets aside, and start a crisis prayer session. No incense, no choir. Only 4 young men pleading for insight. Sometime in the small hours, Daniel receives a download. Scripture calls it a night vision, with a dream in her voice, or a blazing picture we do not know. He only knows he has the answer and races down a torch-lit hallway to request an audience. Inside the throne room. At sunrise, the throne room vibrates with tension. Heads may roll before breakfast. Daniel credits God first, then describes the dream in cinematic clarity. A giant statue stands on a plain. Its head gleams like pure gold. Chest and arms are silver. Belly and thighs shine bronze. Legs are iron. Feet a mix of iron and baked clay. The stone not cut by human hands strikes the feet. The statue shatters. Dust blows away. The stone grows into a mountain, filling the whole earth. Nebuchadnezzar pales. Every detail matches his private vision. Court scribes freeze mid-cool stroke. 4 medals for empires. Daniel interprets. Gold head. Babylon. Splendid yet mortal. Silver torso. A second kingdom generally identified with Medo-Persia. Less glorious, yet larger. Bronze hips. Greece, swift and far-reaching. Bronze armor hoplites under Alexander. Iron legs. Rome, strong enough to crush but cruel enough to fracture when stretched. Feet of iron and clay. Future coalitions. High-tech yet low trust. Partly strong, partly brittle. Historians still debate the fine print, but the metal timeline aligns strangely well with 6 centuries of Mediterranean politics. The stone that wins. Daniel then highlights the uncarved stone. A kingdom set in motion by no human forge overturns every empire and anchors a new world order. Viewers will argue in comment threads. Is the stone the Messiah? The reign of God? Moral progress? Or something not yet imagined? The chapter plants the question and lets it germinate. Fallout and promotion. Nebuchadnezzar steps down from his dais and bows to a 20-something exile. He grants Daniel chains of gold, a lifetime pension, and oversight of the Royal Academy. He also cancels the death order for every other wise man, an ironic bonus for colleagues who 5 minutes earlier mocked Daniel as an amateur. The promotion raises new dangers. Foreign talent is now indispensable, yet still foreign. Envy will hunt them. Fact-check intermission. The video pauses for high-contrast infographic. Babylon falls to Persia, 539 BC. Persia falls to Alexander, 331 BC. Rome absorbs Greek realms between 146 and 63 BC. The metallic forecast holds up. Critics respond that Daniel was written in the 2nd century BCE and merely backdated predictions. Scroll fragments from Qumran complicate that claim. Viewers are invited to weigh the evidence. Personal angle. B-roll rolls. Rusting steel in Pittsburgh. Stock traders in Lower Manhattan. Collapsed Soviet statues. Voiceover asks, every empire swears it will last forever. Babylon had walls wide enough for chariots. Rome invented concrete that cures underwater. We have silicon chips and supply chains that circle the globe. Yet cracks keep showing. What foundation can we trust if even iron mixes with clay? The script leaves room for atheists, agnostics, and churchgoers alike. The point is not to preach, but to provoke reflection. Cliffhanger. Final shot. Drone above the Mediterranean at dusk. Lightning sketches a winged lion rising from the sea. Teaser for the next vision in Daniel chapter 7. Text overlay invites viewers to subscribe and ring the bell. 8-second outro. Channel logo messages of old appears. Letters of iron crumble into clay dust. Then the dust swirls back into a shining stone. Screen fades to black. Chapter 2. For creatures rising from the sea. A restless night beside the Euphrates. Years pass. Daniel now directs Babylon's think tank, yet his Hebrew heart keeps a different calendar. One early spring he cannot sleep. The palace compound smells of date wine and tar from construction fires. He walks the roof, counts constellations, then returns to a small chamber facing the river. There he lies on a reed mat and drifts into a dream so vivid that he will later call it a vision of the night, although his eyes were open inside that dark room. Churning water, churning history. He stands on a shore. Waves slap black basalt rocks. The sea is not the Persian Gulf, nor the Mediterranean, but a symbolic abyss that ancient Mesopotamians believed ringed the world. For winds collide overhead, whipping the surface into whirlpools. Each guest feels like a different point on the moral compass. The water bulges, then parts. A creature rises, then another, and another, finally a fourth. Each dominates the horizon before sliding to one side, as if taking its place on a cosmic stage. The lion with wings. First appears a lion heavy with muscle. Eagle wings sprout from its shoulders, but suddenly snap away, as though clipped by unseen scissors. The body stands upright like a man, and the human mind sparks behind amber eyes. Babylonian art often paired lions with eagles to show royal courage and speed. Daniel instinctively recognizes the symbol of Nebuchadnezzar's empire, yet the plucked wings hint at humiliation. a reminder of the 7 years that the king spent living like an ox after arrogance short-circuited his sanity. Viewers in our century may recall leaders who rise on charisma, then lose altitude when ego outstrips wisdom. The devouring bear. The lion shifts aside, and the bear heaves into view. It rears on one side higher than the other, and clenches 3 ribs in its teeth. A voice orders, "Rise, eat your fill of flesh." Historians usually link this beast to the joint kingdom of Media and Persia, a political partnership in which Persia eventually towered. The 3 ribs signal the major conquests that fed Persian growth: Lydia in the west, Babylon in the center, Egypt in the south. The image carries a warning about expansion that feeds on constant war. Military analysts note the logistics nightmare of armies stretching supply lines across deserts and mountains. Even an unstoppable bear can freeze or starve. The leopard with 4 heads. Now a leopard darts from the foam. 4 wings buzz like turbine blades, granting impossible velocity. 4 heads swivel in different directions, yet move with eerie coordination. Alexander the Great comes to mind, a commander who conquered from Greece to India before his 33rd birthday. After his sudden death, his generals carved the territory into 4 realms. Time compression in Daniel's vision turns that succession crisis into a single moment, for minds steering one predatory body. Political scientists might call it the problem of legacy systems that fracture once the visionary founder is gone. The iron-toothed terror. The 4th creature does not resemble anything in nature. Steel-colored jaws crunch bronze, clay bone, whatever lies underfoot. 10 horns spike from its skull. While Daniel stares, a smaller horn pushes through, uprooting 3. Eyes and a mouth open on the newcomer, speaking boasts that feel like acid rain. Many scholars see Rome here, the republic turned empire that paved roads with the bones of opposition. Others project forward to future alliances or totalitarian states where surveillance cameras act like many eyes and propaganda like a loud mouth. The identity is debatable, the menace is not. Court in session. Suddenly the camera angle flips. Daniel finds himself inside a throne room larger than Babylon itself. Flames light ramps that lead to a platform of glowing crystal. Senior figures clothed in white sit in rows beyond counting. In the center, an Ancient of Days opens record books. The boastful horn keeps talking until fire pours from the throne like a lava river and melts the 4th beast. Daniel notes that the other creatures lose dominion, but their lives continue for a season. Commentators point out that empires often survive in cultural echoes long after their borders collapse. Rome living on in law, Greece in philosophy, Persia in poetry. The sun like a human. Clouds roll overhead and another figure descends. Unlike the beasts, this one looks completely human. To him is given authority, glory, and a kingdom that never ends and includes every language group. The Hebrew phrase is Bar Nash, the Son of Man, which becomes a core title in later Jewish and Christian literature. For viewers who binge superhero franchises, the scene feels archetypal. The human who carries divine mandate, the anti-beast ethic in flesh and blood. Daniel's double vision. The dream shifts again. Daniel watches familiar politics inside Babylon, then sees the same events mirrored in the heavenly court. He realizes both realms interact like layers of transparent glass. Decisions made by King's Echo above, verdicts issued above Echo below. The insight rattles him because it means that prayer, policy, protest, all carry weight in both arenas. The episode invites modern viewers to consider civic engagement as spiritual as well as social. Data pause for skeptics and fans alike. At minute 9, the video cuts to a research lab set. A historian explains the 4-kingdom model. A Jewish scholar notes alternative interpretations, and a physicist comments on chaos theory and human governance. Charts appear showing empire lifespans. The median duration of global hegemony is about 2 centuries, Rome and China being outliers. The pattern of rise, overreach, and and fragmentation parallels Daniel's beasts with eerie consistency. Personal fallout. Back in narrative mode, Daniel wakes, heart racing. He records the vision on a clay tablet. The writing stylus trembles. Cuneiform wedges dig too deep. He shares the dream only with his closest friends. In the public sphere, he continues advising rulers, balancing budgets, planning canal projects. Yet every policy memo he drafts now sits atop an unspoken awareness that all systems become beasts if detached from accountability. Bridge to now. The documentary tilts toward the present. B-roll shows stock tickers, missile test footage, Senate hearings, social media tirades. Voiceover asks, which creature shapes your mental map? Do you fear the iron jaws of authoritarian tech? The devouring bear of resource wars? The four-headed leopard of fragmented culture, spinning at hyperspeed? Or the fragile mix of iron and clay coalitions that crack under stress? Interview clips follow. A political refugee from Myanmar, a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, a marine biologist tracking climate migration. Each identifies with a different beast. The refugee knows the iron teeth of tyranny. The investor rides the leopard speed of markets. The scientist sees the clay cracks of ecological limits. Hope between the lines. Daniel's vision does not end with rubble. The Son of Man receives the last word. The stone mountain from Chapter 1 merges with the human figure of Chapter 2, forming a twin motif. Kingdom as object and as person. The story suggests that true power serves, heals, and endures beyond news cycles. The narrator does not dictate theology, but offers a challenge. If empire is a beast, perhaps the counterforce is simple humanity animated by something larger than self-interest. Closing beats. The screen fades to CGI waves once more, for shadows sink beneath the surface. Above them, a single figure walks on calm water towards the camera, then dissolves into a cloud of particle light. Text overlay. Next episode, the writing on the wall. Subscribe to Decode the Fall of Babylon and what it teaches about our own tipping points. 8-second outro. Channel logo appears. Instead of crumbling metals, four stylized animal silhouettes fade into a sunrise. A single sun glints where the mouth had bragged. The video cuts. The comment section awaits with its own wild creatures. Chapter 3, The Final Kingdom and the Clock of 70 Weeks. A vision beside the Ulai River. The Persian Empire has replaced Babylon. Daniel is now an elderly statesman, semi-retired yet still summoned for occasional counsel. One spring morning, Cyrus the Great hosts a provincial inspection tour. The entourage lodges near Susa, where the Ulai Canal glides past fields of purple irises. Unable to sleep, Daniel walks beyond the city gate and kneels on a stone ledge that overlooks the water. Sunlight flickers on the ripples, and suddenly the scene dissolves. He stands on the same bank, yet everything is sharper, as if painted in molten glass. A two-horned ram charges back and forth along the river, its fleece glinting silver. One horn is longer, then the shorter horn grows until the two match. Daniel watches as the animal butts westward, northward, southward, toppling everything in its path. From the opposite horizon, a male goat appears. Wind seems to carry it. Hooves never touch the earth. Between its eyes protrudes a single monumental horn. The goat slams into the ram with such force that the horns shatter. The ram collapses, and the goat stamps it into the dust. For a moment, the goat rules the field. Then, without warning, the great horn snaps. In its place sprout four notable horns that lean toward the four compass points. From one of those emerges a small, almost invisible horn. It grows longer, taller, aggressive. It scrapes the sky, tears down some of the stars, and even challenges the prince of the host by removing daily offerings in the sanctuary. Truth is flung to the ground like overturned tablets. Daniel hears a question. How long will this rebellion last? And an answer. 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the holy place will be restored. A messenger explains. A voice orders the angel Gabriel to interpret. The ram, Gabriel says, represents Media and Persia. The goat is the king of Greece. The large horn is the first king. The 4 horns are 4 kingdoms that will arise after him. The small horn will arise later, fierce in appearance, skilled in intrigue, destructive toward the holy people, yet it will be broken without human hand. Modern historians identify the ram with Cyrus, followed by Darius. The goat aligns with Alexander the Great, his rapid conquests described as feet that do not touch the ground. After Alexander's death, 4 generals divided the territory: Cassander in Macedonia, Lysimachus in Thrace, Seleucus in Syria and Mesopotamia, Ptolemy in Egypt. The most notorious successor in Gabriel's timeline is Antiochus IV Epiphanes, the Seleucid king who desecrated the Jerusalem temple in 167 BCE, setting up an altar to Zeus and outlawing circumcision. Headline flashback: Maccabean revolt. Cut to fast-paced footage. A priest named Mattathias refuses to sacrifice to Greek idols, then flees to the hills with his sons. Guerrilla warfare erupts. Judah Maccabee recaptures Jerusalem and cleanses the sanctuary, an event still celebrated as Hanukkah. The narrator notes that Daniel's 2,300 evenings and mornings equal 1,150 days, almost exactly the interval between Antiochus's first abomination and the temple rededication. The long clock begins to tick. 5 years later, Daniel opens another scroll and reads Jeremiah's prophecy that Jerusalem would lie desolate 70 years. That period is nearly complete. Daniel launches a prayer of confession, one of the most moving laments in Scripture. He admits personal and national failure, pleads for mercy, and asks God to remember covenant love. Gabriel returns, arriving in mid-sentence. He touches Daniel's shoulder and opens a wider horizon. 77s are decreed for the people and the holy city. The angel outlines 6 goals: finish rebellion, end sin, atone for guilt, bring in everlasting righteousness, seal vision, and anoint the most holy. Scholarship debates whether the term 7s refers to weeks of days or weeks of years. Most Jewish and Christian interpreters read 70 sets of 7 years, equaling 490. The timeline unfolds in 3 segments: 7 sevens to rebuild Jerusalem's streets and wall, 62 sevens until an anointed leader is cut off, and a final 7 during which a covenant is made then broken, sacrifices end, and a desolating abomination stands until decreed destruction sweeps it away. Historical alignment and mystery gap. Cyrus issues his decree to rebuild the temple circa 538 BC. Artaxerxes later commissions Nehemiah to rebuild the wall in 445 BC. Counting 483 years from that command reaches the precise decade when Jesus of Nazareth enters Jerusalem and is soon crucified. Skeptics argue other starting points. Faith readers see mathematical choreography. Still, the final 7 years, sometimes called the 70th week, do not align cleanly with first-century events. Many theologians propose a gap, an open interval during which the clock pauses while history waits for a concluding drama. Forward to predictive analytics. The video shifts to a think tank in Washington, D.C., where data scientists forecast geopolitical risk. Charts illustrate cycles of empire expansion and contraction, war frequency, and currency dominance. An analyst explains that predictive algorithms lose reliability beyond 10 years due to unknown unknowns. Daniel's vision breaks that ceiling, presenting a multi-century panorama that still influences risk assessments in religious communities, financial markets, and even national intelligence agencies that monitor millenarian movements. The King of the North and King of the South. Chapters 10 through 12 reveal another tableau: Persia versus Greece, then Seleucid kings of the north versus Ptolemaic kings of the south, a rapid-fire volley of alliances and betrayals. The pattern climaxes with a contemptible person who invades the beautiful land, abolishes daily sacrifice, and sets up an abomination that causes desolation. Yet people who know their God will resist, some falling by sword or flame, yet refining many. Historians confirm that Antiochus IV fits the outline. Still, the language later turns apocalyptic. The world faces unprecedented distress. Michael the Archangel stands up. Many who sleep in the dust awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame. Daniel seals the book until the time of the end, when travel and knowledge will increase. In the final frame, two figures stand above a river, one on either bank, and swear by him who lives forever that the end will come after times and half a time. Cross-examination of interpretations. The documentary invites three guests. A Jewish scholar sees the text fulfilled in the 2nd century BC. A Catholic historian views the prophecy as layered, partially fulfilled then echoed in later crises. An evangelical researcher expects a literal future Antichrist. The moderator compares the debate to weather forecasting. A model can verify past storms, but its predictive power is tested only when new clouds gather. What the beasts teach about resilience. The narrator recaps key themes. Empires rise when they harness speed, discipline, or ideology, but they overreach through arrogance. Resistance can spark wherever conscience and covenant memory persist. The ultimate storyline is not beast versus beast, but beast versus humanity renewed. For an American audience, the application feels immediate. Political echo chambers amplify horn-like boasts. Disinformation flings truth to the ground. Yet Daniel embeds a counter-narrative. Small faithful communities keeping liturgy alive, rebuilding cultural walls, caring for widows, and debating law in city gates. Sociologists call it civil society. Scripture calls it the people who know their God. Personal reflection moment. The video pauses on a black screen as text scrolls. Where are you in Daniel's timeline? Are you rebuilding ruined places? Are you lost in the intrigues of horned kingdoms? Or are you waiting for a kingdom not built by human hands? Viewers type responses in real-time chat. Some share fears about artificial intelligence becoming an uncontrollable beast. Others express hope that renewable energy could defang the bear of resource wars. Musical coda and visual synthesis. A composer mixes Persian santur, Greek bouzouki, and modern synth bass into a track titled Iron and Clay. Visuals overlay metallic particles floating in wet clay that hardens, cracks, then reliquefies as water pours over it. A glowing stone strikes the clay figure, fragments scatter, and from the dust sprouts a single green shoot. Epilogue at the Tigris. The final scene returns to Daniel standing by the Tigris River. An angel speaks once more, but the words are sealed. Daniel closes his eyes, exhales, and whispers, "Go your way until the end." The camera pulls back miles into the sky. The river twists like a silver thread across yellow plains, joining the Euphrates, then merging with the Persian Gulf, emptying into a blue expanse that swallows every empire's debris. Superimposed text invites viewers. Next season, we explore Ezra and Nehemiah rebuilding shattered walls. Subscribe, share, and leave a comment describing the stone that gives you hope amid iron and clay. The music fades. Screen turns dark.